I'm sure that we've all had one of them like introduction days at college or throughout education where you talk about like how to make friends and just like all the basic introductory shit that you need to do to basically function in education and in life. And as someone who has no friends, I think that I would be an expert to weigh in on this topic. So let's get into this shit.
Do you wanna do nothing with me? Do you wanna do nothing with me?
A lot of advice that you'll see online will just be about things that you're already familiar with, but I have up here a list of tips and stuff from my Google search. It's all just the first thing that came up. Okay, actually, before we get into the list, here's some advice that's not on there. Some of you may actually really need to hear this, because it's very important. Get a fucking shower. Seriously, if you wanted to make friends, then people are gonna come near you. And if you are someone who has a smell radius and people can't come within your proximity, you're gonna have a much harder time making friends. And not only that, people are gonna start knowing you as that guy that stinks. And believe me, shit like that does travel. You don't want to have that on your reputation if you wanna make friends. It's just a fucking no-brainer. Shower, take care of yourself, brush your teeth, do all that kind of basic stuff. Another thing that you might want to consider that's not on this list is maybe you want to think, if I'm having to second guess myself and think, should I say this? It's probably best that you don't. Because let's say that you're someone, and here's an example for you. Let's say that you're someone who likes to joke about dark or edgy or controversial shit. And you've just met someone and you're not really sure if they're into them kind of jokes. Well, what you should do in that situation, if you ask me, is you should just hang fire and see maybe if they kind of come out with their own sort of things like that. And if they do and they reciprocate it, that's great. If you're still unsure, just say to them, hey, I actually kind of like this type of humour, I find these things funny. Is there anything that you don't like to joke about? You know, just have that communication there. And the other thing as well, in second guessing yourself, is you need to think, like, if you're someone who leads a conversation by basically just putting your worst foot forward, it's not going to have a good effect. Like, some examples of this, like you say to someone like, oh, I don't really have many friends, I don't really talk to that many people, you know, or the classic one, I'm not really like any of the other girls. You know, if you lead conversations like that, then you need to put yourself in the other person's shoes, like, what are they actually getting out of that? They're getting a negative exchange. It's not going to go well for you, or they're not going to feel positively towards you, so what are they actually getting out of that? Basically, just use a bit of common sense. It's not on the list, but just think, if you have to think about it yourself and you're second guessing, hang fire. It's totally fine. Alright, let's move on to the actual list. First thing, meet other people. Joining a club, youth group, online forum, or getting involved in an activity that you enjoy is a great way of meeting new people. It's also a boost to your confidence to do something that you love. Do some research about where it's available in your area, if I don't fuck up my speech once when trying to read things out. And choose something that interests you. If you're unsure of where to start, ask someone to help you out. Ask others for ideas. I mean, you can't really do it if you got no friends, but you know, maybe you got like a parent or something. But anyway, yeah, I think that this is it's kind of that. I think that if you are looking to actually befriend someone, you need to be doing it in an environment where someone is actually expecting, well, someone to maybe approach them, instead of just someone who's going about their ordinary day-to-day life. Like, imagine just you're out and about and, I don't know, you're waiting for a bus or something. You can maybe use a situation like that to actually start a conversation or practice your social skills. Like, one thing that you can do is you could say to them, like, if your bus is running late, you could be like, oh, the bus is a bit fucking shit out there. And then maybe they'll give you a chuckle, or maybe they'll just ignore you, but at least then you've got in a little bit of practice. And it's a stranger, like, you're not going to bump into them again, so who really cares, really? Really. That actually brings me on to a different point I want to bring up, because you know how whenever you do one of these induction days or wherever, and they're going through all this friendship stuff, and they say to you something along the lines of, what you should do is you should find someone and talk about something that you both like or you both have in common. But I actually think it's better if we talk about things that we don't like. If you find someone who has a common hate with you, there's nothing that brings people together better than having a common foe. And I mean, like, let's look at some examples for that. There's like World War II when all the Allied powers teamed up with the Soviets to combat the Axis, or there was that time when Soph Aspen and Little T both ganged up on Millie B and they dissed her, you know. Sick. And so yeah, I think what I should do is I'm gonna roleplay. I'm gonna roleplay a scenario where you're at not a new job, but a relatively new. Like you're a couple of weeks in, you're working in some sort of retail environment, and you just walked into the staff room with someone you kind of know but don't really know. You've spoken to her once or twice, and I'm gonna show you how you can make friends this way. This is you and your coworker, right? When I'm facing this way, this is you. When I'm facing this way, this is your coworker. All right. So you walk into the staff room and you see him sitting down on like the couch or wherever. You go up to him, you go, "Oh, you all right, mate?" He goes, "Yeah, not too bad. How about you?" And then you say to him, "Well, you know, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good, mate. Not been too bad. I tell you something though. Charlotte, she's been nattering on at me all fucking morning about Love Island, and it's just like, I don't really give a shit, to be honest. It's like I'm just trying to avoid her at the minute." "Oh, which Charlotte are you on about? Are you on about the ginger one? Ginger one? Or are you on about you know, big Charlotte? You know, the one who works around freezers and smells of cheese?" Also, why do people do that when they, instead of saying fat, you know? I think that's probably a bit more offensive than saying, well, fat. Saying someone's big. I don't know. Is that offensive? Leave it in the comments. But anyway, where was I? Alright, so. Oh, yeah. Oh, that Charlotte, yeah. Oh, I don't like her either. You know. Oh, why don't you like her? What's up? What's she done? Well, fuck's sake, she's just fucking thick, isn't she? What makes you say that? Well, put it this way. You had a fucking customer. Spilt his drink about a month ago or something like that. She came to clean it. She got called over. She came with a fucking dustpan and shovel. Shovel? Dustpan and brush. Yeah. Also, do I think that Derek, who works on Till, has fucking... He's a right boring wanker and he has shit eyebrows. Derek has such shit eyebrows. Looks like the fucking top half of Harry Potter's glasses. Help other people. Volunteering in your local community can be a great way to meet other people. Yeah, I'd say that this is pretty good advice. However, you gotta remember that it's not just a one-way street and it's a two-way street. And if you end up helping someone over and over again and you kind of feel like they're taking advantage of you, because spoiler alert, some people like Derek are wankers, and they will try to take advantage or whatever. And it's important that you don't let that happen, and that if you feel like that is happening and they're maybe not as helpful to you, you should talk about it or you should cut them off. Be a great listener. Introduce yourself to new people, ask questions about them, really listen to their answers, and look for common ground. Okay, so, I mean, that's kind of like what we said earlier about finding things that you both like in common. But, yeah, I think that listening, this one's a bit misleading, because listening's actually the pretty easy part. The hard part is figuring out how to respond, and respond in accordance with what they're saying. So, for example, if someone says, "Oh yeah, I'm not having a great day, it's been a bit sad," your response shouldn't just be, "Oh well, what the fuck do you want me to do about it?" I mean, you've listened, but your response is shit. That's the problem. You gotta be using your noggin. You gotta be thinking. Show that you're open with your body language. Alright, okay. We need to pause for a second, because there's so many, like, low-hanging your mum jokes that are just lingering around with this one, and I want to earn your subscription. So, well, I actually thought to myself, can I write a better joke about body language, open body language, and I think that I came up with one. Alright, so, set the stage. Takes place in a police station, so a senior detective has just brought in a suspect and he's just had him in for questioning. And when he gets finished, he walks outside the room and then he sees this junior detective who's there, and he starts asking him about the case and stuff, and starts saying, "Oh well, how did the questioning go?" And then the senior detective says to him, "Well, you know, not much new stuff came out, and he didn't really answer our questions all that much. It was just kind of routine stuff that you'd expect, you know, nothing really new evidence-wise, but, you know, just questioning." And then the senior detective says to him, "Well, actually, I kind of think that I've got our guy, though. I think this is him." And then the junior detective says to him, "Oh, well, what makes you say that?" And the senior detective says, "Well, when you've been on the force as long as I've been, you kind of pick up on things that guilty people tend to showcase to you through their open body language. Then the junior detective says to him, well, like what? Senior detective says, well, there were three things in this particular questioning that really caught my eye. First thing was that the suspect, he was just zooming off into space, like looking around the room, not really making eye contact to me, and that to me says there's some guilt involved there, you know. If you can't look me in the eye when you're answering me, that makes you seem guilty to me. But that's not the most solid piece of evidence. And then the junior detective says to him, okay, well, you said there were three things. What was the second thing? Senior detective says, well, it was to do with how he was sat in his posture. You see, our suspect, he was sat in there, had his arms folded, close, tucked into his chest the entire interrogation. Then the junior one says, oh, well, what does that tell you? Senior guy says, well, that tells me that this person's very closed off, you know, has something to hide maybe. And then junior guy says, oh, well, I never really thought of it like that. What was the third thing? And the senior officer says, well, the third piece of open body language that the assailant, is that the right word? That the suspect communicated to me was, and this one really stinks, it was when his butthole said, is that not a great joke? Come on, that's earned a subscription. Alright. There is 3 more things that are listed here. That is make an effort, be a good friend, and choose good friends, but I feel like those are things that we've already covered. Again, it's just basically having them positive interactions with people and not making yourself out like some sort of fucking weirdo. And yeah, I think I've covered about everything that I wanted to cover. If you like the video, leave me a like. If you enjoy this kind of stuff, hit subscribe. And I also stream on Twitch I say sometimes, quite often, pretty frequently. That's twitch.tv/Door34. If you wanna hop over there, join me on streams. The only thing that we're really lacking over there is an audience and, I don't know, maybe a few brain cells or something. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you there. Alright, have a good one.